Have you ever had a job that, day by day, started to eat your soul? A job where you found yourself slowly becoming a person you didn't quite recognize and didn't even really like? A job that looked so impressive on the outside, but on the inside, felt like a beautiful high-stakes prison? This is the universal experience at the heart of Lauren Weisberger's blockbuster novel, The Devil Wears Prada. On the surface, it's a hilarious, terrifying, and wildly entertaining look into the cutthroat world of high fashion. But beneath the designer clothes and the impossible demands, it is a deep philosophical inquiry into the true price of ambition. It's a modern fable that asks one of the most important questions of our time: what are you willing to sacrifice to succeed? And how do you know when the dream job you've been chasing has turned into a beautiful, high-fashion nightmare? This is not just a story about a magazine. It's a story about the eternal battle for your own soul in the modern workplace. The girl in the sensible shoes. To understand the journey, you first have to meet our hero, Andy Sachs. Andy is smart, ambitious, and a recent graduate of an Ivy League university. Her dream is to be a serious journalist, to write for a prestigious magazine like The New Yorker. She is, in her own mind, a serious person who cares about serious things. She does not care about fashion. She thinks of it as a frivolous and silly world, and she prides herself on her sensible shoes and her lack of interest in brand names. Broke and desperate for a job, she stumbles into an interview at the Elias Clark Company for a position that she's told could open any door in journalism, the second assistant to Miranda Priestly. Miranda Priestly is the legendary and legendarily terrifying editor-in-chief of Runway magazine, the undisputed Bible of the fashion world. Andy has never read the magazine, she has no idea who Miranda Priestly is, and she shows up to the interview in a frumpy sweater. By some miracle, she gets the job. She is told by everyone that this is the opportunity of a lifetime. 1 million girls would kill for this job. The deal is simple: survive for 1 year, and Miranda Priestly, with her immense power and influence, will make a phone call and get you a job anywhere you want. It's a golden ticket. All she has to do is endure 1 year in what she assumes will be a slightly silly but ultimately manageable office environment. She has absolutely no idea what she is in for. This is the classic setup of a fish-out-of-water story. Andy is us. She is the normal, relatable person who is about to be dropped into a completely alien and absurd world. Her journey is our journey, a descent into a hell paved with Prada. The Impossible Boss, a philosophical study in power. The absolute center of this universe, the sun around which all the planets of Runway magazine orbit in terror, is Miranda Priestly. Miranda is more than a character, she is a cultural archetype. She is the ultimate boss from hell. Her power is absolute, and her methods are a masterclass in psychological warfare. She never raises her voice. Her primary weapon is a soft, disappointed whisper. She makes a series of constant, contradictory, and utterly impossible demands. She asks for the unpublished, next manuscript of the Harry Potter series for her twin daughters. She demands that Andy find a flight out of Miami for her during a hurricane, when the airport is completely shut down. She communicates in riddles and vague pronouncements, expecting her assistants to be mind readers, and she never, ever says please or thank you. The entire office operates in a state of perpetual, high-alert fear of her disapproval. The assistants, whom she never calls by their real names, are known as the clackers, for the sound their high heels make as they run frantically through the hallways. They are expected to be on call 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Their personal lives are not just irrelevant, they are an inconvenience to Miranda's needs. So, the book asks a profound philosophical question. Is Miranda Priestly a monster? Or is she simply a genius who demands an uncompromising and absolute standard of excellence? The book doesn't give an easy answer. On the one hand, she is a brilliant editor. She has impeccable taste. She is the most powerful and influential person in the entire fashion industry. The people who work for her, if they can survive, go on to have incredible careers. She is a kingmaker. On the other hand, she is a tyrant. She rules by fear. She shows no empathy for her employees. She treats them as disposable objects, as tools to serve her own needs. She is a study in the dark side of power. She forces us to ask, does being a genius give you a license to be cruel? Does the pursuit of excellence justify a complete lack of basic human decency? Miranda Priestly is not just a character, she is a philosophical problem. She represents the seductive and dangerous idea that to be great, you must also be terrible. The slow seduction, how a soul is lost. The central and most fascinating part of the book is Andy's slow, almost imperceptible transformation. She begins her job with a sense of ironic detachment. She sees the world of Runway as a joke. She makes fun of the absurdly thin, fashion-obsessed women who work there. She believes she is immune to its values. But the constant, daily pressure of Miranda's demands begins to wear her down. For the first few months, she is a spectacular failure. She can't keep up. She's always one step behind. She is constantly on the verge of being fired. Her first instinct is to quit, but then, her own ambition kicks in. Andy Sachs is not a quitter, she is a high achiever, and she cannot stand the idea of failing at anything. So, she decides to fight back, not by confronting Miranda, but by trying to become the perfect assistant. This is the moment the seduction begins. She gets a high-fashion makeover with the help of one of the magazine's stylists. She sheds her old, sensible clothes and starts wearing the designer brands from the Runway fashion closet. She starts to look the part. Then, she starts to think the part. She learns to anticipate Miranda's impossible needs. She becomes incredibly resourceful, finding the unfindable, achieving the impossible. She becomes good at her job. In fact, she becomes great at it. She earns a rare, almost imperceptible nod of approval from Miranda. And it feels good. It feels like a victory. But with each small victory at work, she suffers a major defeat in her personal life. She is so consumed by the job that she has no time or energy left for the people she loves. Her boyfriend Alex, a public school teacher, feels like he's dating a stranger. He can't understand why she is becoming so obsessed with a world she used to despise. Her best friend Lily, who is struggling with her own problems, can never reach her, because Andy's phone is always blowing up with a new, urgent demand from Miranda. Andy is so deep inside the bubble of Runway that she can't see what's happening. She is so focused on surviving the daily battle that she doesn't realize she is losing the war for her own soul. She starts to adopt the values of the world she once mocked. She becomes obsessed with her weight. She starts to judge people by the clothes they wear. She becomes one of the very people she used to make fun of. The book is a brilliant and subtle cautionary tale about how we are shaped by our environments. We think we can exist in a toxic culture without being affected by it, but day by day, it seeps into our pores until we become a part of it. She becomes a part of it. The true price of the golden ticket. The job at Runway was supposed to be a golden ticket, a one-year sacrifice that would guarantee a brilliant future. But the book forces Andy and the reader to ask a difficult question. What is the actual price of that ticket? The price, it turns out, is everything that used to matter to her. Her relationship with Alex, her boyfriend, completely disintegrates. He is the anchor to her old, authentic self, and as she drifts further and further into the orbit of Runway, their connection frays and finally snaps. She misses his birthdays, she is constantly distracted when they are together, and she starts to see his simple, meaningful life as somehow less than her own glamorous, high-powered world. Her friendship with her best friend Lily also falls apart. Lily goes through a personal crisis, and at the exact moment when she needs her best friend the most, Andy is on another continent, consumed by a work emergency for Miranda. Andy is so focused on serving her boss that she fails to serve the people who truly love her. Her own values are also a casualty. She, the serious journalist, finds herself doing things she never would have imagined, like helping Miranda's daughters with their homework and delivering dry cleaning. She becomes complicit in Miranda's cruelty, witnessing her tear down and humiliate other talented and hardworking people on a daily basis. The philosophical question at the heart of the book is this: at what point does the sacrifice become too great? Is any job, any future promise of success, worth the destruction of your relationships, your health, and your own personal integrity? The Devil Wears Prada is a powerful argument that the answer is no. It suggests that a dream job that forces you to become a worse friend, a worse partner, and a person you don't respect is not a dream at all. It is a nightmare dressed in designer clothes. The golden ticket has a hidden cost, and that cost is yourself. The moment of clarity in Paris. The climax of the story takes place during the most important event of the fashion year, Paris Fashion Week. Andy, through her hard work and competence, has now been promoted to first assistant and has been chosen by Miranda to accompany her to Paris, a huge honor that was supposed to go to the senior assistant Emily. In Paris, Andy is at the absolute peak of her game. She is a perfect, efficient, and indispensable machine. She is wearing incredible clothes, she is hobnobbing with famous designers, she has, by all external measures, made it. And it is here, at the moment of her greatest professional triumph, that she finally has her moment of clarity. During a crucial event, she witnesses Miranda make a cold, calculated and brutal move to save her own career, a move that involves betraying a man who has been her loyal friend and colleague for decades. In that moment, Andy sees the true human cost of Miranda's success. Later, in a quiet moment in the back of a car, Miranda turns to Andy and says, "I see a great deal of myself in you." For the old Andy, this would have been the ultimate compliment, but for the new Andy, the woman who has been slowly waking up, it is the most terrifying thing she could possibly hear. She looks at Miranda, this powerful, brilliant, successful, and deeply lonely woman, and she realizes that this is not the life she wants. This is not the person she wants to become, and in that moment of pure clarity, she makes a choice. At the next event, when Miranda gives her another impossible instruction, Andy simply turns and walks away. She walks out of the fashion show, she walks out of the job, she walks out of the entire life she has spent the last year killing herself to build. And in one of the most iconic and cathartic moments in the book, she takes the constantly ringing company cell phone, the symbol of her enslavement, and she throws it into a fountain at the Place de la Concorde. In that moment, she is finally free. This is her ultimate act of defiance. It is a declaration that her own integrity, her own soul, is more valuable than any job, no matter how glamorous. She chooses herself. The book ends with Andy back in New York. She is wearing her old comfortable clothes. She has reconnected with her friends and her ex-boyfriend, and she is pursuing her original dream of being a writer, on her own terms. She has given up the golden ticket, and in doing so, she has found something far more valuable, herself. The final message of The Devil Wears Prada is a powerful and timeless one. In a world that is constantly seducing us with promises of success, of prestige, of glamour, the most important work we can ever do is to stay true to our own values. It is a reminder that the most courageous and powerful words you can ever say in your career are not, "Yes, I can," but sometimes, "No, I won't." It is a philosophical guide to knowing when to lean in, but also, and more importantly, when to walk away. If you believe that a well-lived life is about more than just a great resume, then you are in the right place. Welcome to Geeky Philosopher. Subscribe and let's continue to explore the ideas that help us live a more authentic life.